If you just recently discovered Ashes of Creation, or maybe have been following them since their early development, you know just as well that there's a chance that as a casual player you can be quite overwhelmed about the complexity there's built into their various systems. But does this mean that there's no place for the casual players in Ashes of Creation? Absolutely not. In this video, I'll go through why at first glance you might think that Ashes of Creation is not a place for a casual gamer. Then I'll cover the top 3 reasons why Ashes of Creation is in fact more casual friendly than you think. And towards the end I'll include an honorable mention that I'm sure a lot of casual players will be coming for. My name is Christian and welcome to the Lazy Tavern. So why does Ashes of Creation at first glance not seem casual friendly? Looking into the depth of the node system gets you going into a rabbit hole of information and possibilities. And further, you have to pay taxes as a citizen. PvP mode is always on, with the possibility to be ganked anywhere in the world. You have no safe space, except from inside your own house. Open world dungeons and raids, leaving you only to wonder, do you even have a chance to try them out? Wild depth of crafting with the implementation of genetic to the breeding profession as an example. The caravan system, planning ahead for materials you want to gather and ship across the continent, after spending a long time even crafting the caravan itself. And then we have the 64 classes. Like, are you kidding me? And I know some of you might be like,
stop selling it, kid, you won.
But it can frankly be overwhelming to grasp. So before moving on with the top 3 reasons why it will be more casual friendly than you think, let's get the facts straight. What is a casual gamer and why are they needed in Ashes of Creation? Casual gamers is the crowd that creates the masses in an MMO. So for any MMO, they are essential for the economy, to fill the ranks and to make the world feel alive. Without casual gamers, there would be so little to show off your epic hard-earned reward to. Remembering back 2007, where Black Temple were just released, 14-year-old me could find people in the capital with the legendary weapons from Illidan and being impressed. Same would apply for Ashes. With their high-risk, high-reward system, there would be people to admire for their accomplishments. And it has to be this way. When we are talking casual versus hardcore gamers, most study is using time spent gaming as the key driver. The research into the gaming market by Consumer Technology Association is working with 3 categories: hardcore, core, and casual gamers. Spending time from 37 hours a week as a hardcore, 29 hours a week as a core, and then 13 hours for a casual. For simplicity, we will remove the most casual from the MMO genre and put ourselves somewhere in between here. This gives us the average daily playtime of just about 3 hours every day. It should be very clear that this is an average, so it doesn't mean that it has to be 3 days every day. But if you have a long gaming session one evening, it will add up the hours as well as if you have a gaming weekend or similar. Neither do you have to play exactly 3 hours. Everything below the 3 hours also puts you in the category of a casual gamer. Personally, I fall under this category as a casual gamer. And I cannot even put it in 3 hours every day with work, family and friends and board games. So for me, everything I cover in this video is very relevant for the game to succeed. Just because casuals is essential for a game like Ashes of Creation doesn't mean that it necessarily has to make the game easy. So let's hear it from Steven Sharif, the creative director, if they plan to just make the game easy for everyone.
It touches something tangential actually to that as well, which is that adventuring is not easy in Ashes. Our intent when we actually, focus on balance, which we haven't really done too much yet, but we will here in the very, very near future. The intent is that encounters are difficult. The world is dangerous. It is not a cakewalk to progress within Ashes. And that fact reinforces when you get the scarce drop that you will feel a difference in your performance or in that environment, right? So naturally, Ashes is going to gravitate towards a more difficult gameplay loop when it comes to adventuring and combat.
Now with that out of the way, let's get started with the first casual friendly system. And the first one is a big one. That's the story arc system. In the world, there will be large storylines being told on a real life clock, giving the options for most players to actually experience large events that shape the world. Simply, Ashes of Creation questing system is split into 3 ways of questing. First of all, you have events, as some of you might know from Guild Wars 2, which means that there will be random events appearing around the world that you can optionally take part in. If you want to know more about this event system, go check out my video regarding the various systems in Ashes of Creation. I'll leave a link down below. The second way of questing is the commissioning board, which works quite similar to the very well implemented system called town boards in New World. Just better, I promise. And last there's the story arc. Everybody who is eligible in level or area can participate in a specific story arc. Each player completing it in a certain way will directly affect the outcome of the story when the time has passed. I mean, that's great, right? If you don't directly grasp the importance of this, I'll give you the example. We know that the story arcs will directly affect the world, opening and closing new dungeons, raids, resources and hunting areas. So put it into familiar settings. I'll go back to classic World of Warcraft and the opening of the AQ gates. All players on the various servers were excited for this event to happen, waiting patiently so we could travel to AQ 20 and AQ 40 and test our skills. It unlocked new areas everyone were excited for. But how many of you can actually say that you participated in the extreme quest line for opening the gates? Very few, I suspect. In Ashes terms, almost everyone will have the chance to experience this event and feel involved because their action in the story arc were added to the balance of the outcome of this particular story. So let's say the story arc can be completed by either killing goblins or befriending them. The way you decide to complete the quest will be added to the accumulated weight of that story arc. In the end, netting the server the outcome that most of you participated in. This is an impressive approach for an MMO that I'm super excited for. Next up, we have one of the most targeted and also discussed subjects, and that's regarding the PvX or the PvP aspect. The fact that PvP will always be active, meaning you could potentially be ganked or killed anywhere in the open world. While this is true, Ashes makes a great deal out of naming themselves as a PvX game, with the defining principle that PvE builds the world and PvP changes the world. If we take a look at similar popular MMOs, we have the PvP servers from World of Warcraft, which thrived for a long time. There were no penalties, even when killing very low levels, only the fact that you didn't receive honor. If we take Albion Online or other more hardcore PvP based games, you will drop all your items upon death from PvP. This is not the case in Ashes of Creation. In Ashes of Creation, Intrepid has a system called corruption. The PvP flagging and corruption system is a place to safeguard against griefing without limiting opportunities for open conflicts. So let's have a look into this system to understand why it's friendly towards the casual player. At first, all players start as a non-combatant, a green player, and cannot be attacked without consequences. If you attack another player, you become combatant, a purple one. Combatants can attack and be attacked by other combatants without any penalties for either party. When a combatant kills another combatant, nothing crucial happens other than he remains this way for 60 seconds. If a combatant kills a non-combatant, they become corrupted, red. Corrupted players get stat penalized, making them weaker. They have a higher chance of dropping items upon death, and their penalties for dying is also higher on their glint and their experience loss. Corruption is visible to everyone, making all the corrupted players targets. Further, there is bounty hunter system that can track and kill corrupted players for rewards. Only ways to get rid of corruption is by dying and thereby reducing your corruption score. The other way is to gain experience, however this is a very slow process, which will also reduce your corruption score. The corruption system protects thereby the casual player by deterring griefing. It ensures that while PvP is part of the game, there is significant consequences for people who want to abuse it, just making the game more enjoyable for everybody. Last on the list, before moving on to the bonus reason, we actually have the classes. Let me explain you why. The class system in Ashes of Creation is both complex and flexible, designed to cater to various playstyles. With 64 classes, it might seem overwhelming at first, but let's simplify it. The game is based on 8 primary archetypes: tank, mage, fighter, cleric, rogue, summoner, ranger, and bards. And you can mix and match these to create your unique class. This means that while there are many options, they all stem from familiar archetypes. For casual players, this flexibility is a game changer. You can start with a basic archetype and later customize it to fit your playstyle without feeling pressured to choose the perfect class from the start. Additionally, the rock, paper and scissors dynamic in a 1 versus 1 matchup ensures that every class has strengths and weaknesses, making each one viable in different scenarios. This system helps casual players find their niche where they can excel without needing to constantly chase the meta to stay relevant. This has always been a key point for Intrepid, so let's just hear what they have to say about it all the way back in 2018.
Balancing for PvP on a 1-for-1 ratio, like...
Oh, 1 versus 1.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the better way of wording that question.
We don't want to, we're not trying to balance. That is, there will be matchups in 1v1s where one class will be superior to another. And that application should be a rock, paper, scissors dynamic. We want there to be counterplay between the different classes. That's something that's important. We feel it will be beneficial to raid composition because raids will then not just be able to run a mage ball, because those are the ultimate class in the game at the moment. And when the game changes, the meta, that. Instead, what we want is 3 houses in this system where archetypes exist and have a not necessarily decisive, but do have a advantage over their counter classes. So because of that, we don't really 1v1s to that degree. Instead, it's going to be a group-focused balance where as long as you have the diversity of class present, that's going to be an equal level playing field. It's going to be very dependent on skill and strategy.
Awesome.
Now let's get into the bonus casual-friendly system, which is in fact the profession system. Crafting in Ashes of Creation is designed to be engaging and rewarding, yet accessible. Professions are diverse, from blacksmithing to alchemy, and they all play a crucial role in the game's economy. For casual players, the key benefit is that crafting doesn't require you to be locked in for long periods. You can gather your resources, craft items and trade them at your own pace. And because the fact that each profession relies heavily upon other professions to find success, you can always find a profession to stay relevant and make use of the specialization to become the best amongst even the hardcore, to create a specific weapon or armor, or find that specific certain material. If you want more details on the profession system and how we as a casual player can become relevant, then keep an eye out for a video I'm working on around this subject. The game also supports players' shops and stalls, allowing casual players to set up their own businesses. This system means that you can be an important part of the game's economy without needing to compete with the players who spend much more time in the game. If you enjoyed the video so far and is too lazy to look for the next one, consider subscribing. Every subscription means the world to me. I haven't even discussed the impact of casual players on the node system just through their masters of players. Nor have I discussed the housing system, and yet there is a lot of promising casual-friendly systems to dive into. On a different note, my personal concern is regarding raiding. As a long-term PvE focused player, I've been forced within fixed timeframes to play to fit into our family schedule. With open world PvE, I do not see how this is feasible. From my time with Classic WoW, I did never bother to try and go for the world bosses, since they were so heavily contested that you needed scouts and a full raid team standing by at all time to get them down. I were never in a place where I could participate at that level. I'm not saying that that necessarily is only a bad thing, but in World of Warcraft we had our traditional raids to go and progress for. For Ashes of Creation, we know some raids will be instanced. However, exactly how many and how it will be done, we have to yet see during the Alpha 2 testing. Overall, Ashes of Creation is taking a large step towards the casual player, underneath their complex systems. And I think this is just the sweet spot of easy to play, hard to master, that will make a game changer. Thanks for watching. See you again at the Lazy Tavern.